Hi guys, welcome back to oh shit. Hold on. Okay. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Divine Cupid podcast. If you're new, I'm your host India Watson, and if you're not new, welcome back. So guys, welcome back to another episode. Literally, I have no life update. I have nothing to give you. Unfortunately, I wish I did have something interesting going on. But happy Memorial Day. Today is my Monday off. I'm so happy. I cleaned my room. I deep cleaned my bathroom again. Just because I always usually do that on Sundays, like I have a Sunday reset, but literally Sunday I just decided like I'm gonna bed rot and I'm gonna watch like streams. So that's what I did. And then yeah, so this is like my Sunday reset, and then I'm gonna go to the gym in a little bit. But I wanted to talk to you guys today about excuse me, I had to burp. But I wanted to talk to you guys about emotional traumas. So I actually had this idea in like drafts for like a really long time because I think when you have like a lot of emotional turmoil, it's important to talk about, especially since like a lot of my friends have been coming to me with like relationship advice and or like for relationship advice, and a lot of the like primal conversations that we've had have been like, you're not healed, you've just been alone. Like, and that's so important because I think when you're in spaces where you're alone, you feel like nothing around you is triggering you. Nothing around you is bringing upon your triggers. Nothing around you is bringing upon the things that you struggle with, the things that you need to get better at, the things that you need to deal with. And I never want to get on my podcast and make it seem like I'm a perfect person who has like no emotional struggles, traumas, or like who faces no real obstacles when it comes to relationships, because I definitely do. And I'm very self-aware and like knowing what it is that I need to work on, but I'm even more self-aware in knowing when it is important and when I need to leave. Being in spaces where you're not being triggered and you're alone makes it seem like you are just the primal version of yourself and you're so healed. And that's been me for a really long time. Like, I've been alone, so I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so healed, I'm just this healed goddess, like everything is perfect because like nobody is disrupting my peace. And I even want to like touch on the fact that like leaving people every time they mess up, that's not healed. Like, that's not healed, and that's not having boundaries either, because me and my sister were just talking about this. If you were leaving every time someone did something you didn't like, you would be alone forever, because it's just inevitable to find that perfect person. Like, it's inevitable to find a relationship where you don't make mistakes and you don't mess up and you guys don't see eye to eye, but it's about how you handle the situation, how they handle the situation, how hurt you feel in the moment, how the communication works in that relationship and in that situation. Like, you can't just leave every time something doesn't go right for you or something isn't up to your standards, because there's just some things that like people are very different and they have different lifestyles and different adaptations, and it's about coming together and being one, not being two separate entities, like not just trying to like put each other together in the puzzle, but like making time to actually come together, work together, do things together. Like, relationships are about unity, and when you're alone and you're in that space of aloneness, it's just solitude. It's solitude, and it's being alone, and it's solidarity, and it's great, but you're not as healed as you would imagine yourself to be when you're in a relationship. And all about relationships, traumas, emotional bandages, barriers, whatever. It's about working through it. Recognizing that there's an issue or there's something that you struggle with or something that, you are undergoing that you have the intention of working through. So that's always what these podcast episodes are about, is like working through the struggle, working through the challenge. For me, mine, I guess, is just like having so much emotional turmoil. I realized like I have these walls. I was like praying about this like earlier in April. I have these walls that I just can't let down. Like, I don't like necessarily touching on to like the emotional aspect of my trauma, because like I feel like with my past relationships, they've been like kind of quote unquote traumatic in a sense, just based off of some of the things that is like, damn, like, did I really have to experience that? Like, did I have to go through that? No. Like, some things that I feel like could have been avoided. Like, some of my emotional turmoil has became like resentment towards myself for just like not evading a situation faster and not leaving because I cared. And I've had like resentment towards myself because it's like, you knew you should have walked away and you didn't, and you let your I care about them kind of get in the way of your respect for yourself, you know. Holding resentment for myself in just areas where it's like, I'm not really giving myself grace sometimes, and that's where some emotional turmoil comes from. And then other emotional turmoil comes from just the fact that like people have treated me in a certain way that I still just can't get over, still haven't healed from. Or even in a sense of like, people have treated me a way, I didn't fully heal from it, and now I'm treating people the same way that I used to be treated. Like, that is another thing that I feel like is a big struggle. But having these walls, I feel like, okay, when you've been in a lot of spaces where you are emotionally triggered, you definitely, your nervous system is tired. My nervous system is tired. Like, I just have like this space of where I'm trying to protect myself. So it's very hard for me to let my guard down with other people, and it's very hard for me to let my guard down in general, because I do have a reluctant fear of just getting hurt. I don't like the fact that being emotionally vulnerable does come at a cost. And yes, it is so rewarding to be seen by somebody and for your vulnerability to be respected, to be cared about, to be admired, and to be loved, that it's not taken advantage of. That is a very rare thing, and there's not too many people who are like that. I feel like I don't like sharing my emotional traumas because I think every person who's traumatized me secretly pits up with the next person in my life to see, hey, how can we how can we do her in even more? How can we get her in worse? Like, how can we really like fuck that mind up? Like, how can we do that? And that's why I'm always like, I'm very silent. Sorry guys, I'm gonna move, but I'm very silent when it comes to like the things that I've really like gone through, because like, I don't need nobody else getting no more damn ideas, okay? I done been through like, I'm like a towel that has been like washed, wrung, and like, you know when they wring the towel out, that's me. So I have nothing left to give. I have nothing left to take. Like, nothing else you could take from me. I'm done. Like, that's where the walls have came up. Like, I want to protect myself. I want to protect myself from feeling any more pain and any more hurt. And in a way, being so guarded does kind of hinder your relationships. I feel like I'm someone, I want people to let me in like all the time. Like, I love getting to know people. I love being there for people. I love hearing from people. I love like those things, and I love loving people. So I love when they let me in. And I feel like when people want the same in return, it's kind of hard, because yeah, you might feel like you know so much about me, but there's so much like I'm like I don't want to say an onion. I feel like I don't like that reference, that Love Island reference, but I am like an onion. Like, there's so much layers to me, and I feel like what people think are my deepest layers are my most surface level layers. The things that I feel like I'm so open telling people about is because like I'm very open about it. Like, there's nothing deep about me. Like, you might think that's deep, but that's not deep to me. Like, there's more depth to me than like the things that I'm saying or the things that I've said. And because I want people to let me in, and I want to, I feel like this is like a harsh term, but I like to say like I want to break down their walls, because I want to be let in, because I know how I want to be treated in a space of like emotional vulnerability, and like I understand the sacredness of that I also want to cherish that in other people. I've had to also like kind of remind myself that like not everybody is meant to be in your life to really experience you on that deep level. Some people are meant to come into your life to just teach you some things, but it's hard for me to let down those walls, and it's hard for me to be very comfortable with people, because those people that I really have let in see all parts of myself in my life have really just like me with a knife like that, like literally like that. Like, I have no other visual to give you. Like, I just feel like I don't want to get hurt. Now, that in itself, like that statement, that's a lot of people. Like, that's not just me, that's not just my neighbor, that's not just my sister. Like, nobody wants to get hurt. Nobody wants to be in a space of like pain and suffering and emotional turmoil. Like, nobody wants to deal with those feelings. I used to wake up every day of high school damn near with the heaviest heart. Like, I literally would wake up feeling sad all the time. Like, I've always struggled kind of like with depression in a way, but that was just different. Like, almost every day I had a very heavy heart, and I would like wake up crying. Like, I would wake up very sad, very emotionally like unstable in a way. I was just very like emotionally anxious and emotionally dependent on other people, and I've learned to even like revert from that and to just be very emotionally dependent on myself and my own needs and what I can provide for myself. when people struggle a lot with emotional turmoil and all of these emotional traumas, it's very hard to, one of my biggest struggles has to been not bleeding onto other people. Like, I want to patch myself up so I don't bleed onto other people, but it's very hard when I feel like I'm in spaces that are just as emotionally triggering as the spaces that I try to get out of. I have to remind myself, like, not everybody is pitted up against me and they're not trying to make me relive the same trauma that I've already gone through, but it's very hard when I've seen patterns that I've tried to, like, neglect and negate and, like, avoid reoccur in my life because it's like I don't want to experience the same kind of emotional hardship that I did years ago or like a while ago or like months ago. Like, I want to get out of that and over that. And like, something that I've just, me and my sister have been talking about is like, it's very hard because you have like trauma kind of transfers over, and it's so hard to kind of like pin down the nail on the trauma and like really like deconstruct it and like not make it who you are but an experience of what you've gone through. And because it's very easy to just like, what is the word, identify with our trauma. Like, it's very easy to be like, I have mommy issues, so now I'm like, I'm very emotionally attached, I'm very this, I'm very that. You like, you know, the list of like the things that people say women with mommy issues are. It's very easy to like kind of associate yourself with that and define yourself as what you is, that being what you are, instead of being like, those are experiences of something that I've gone through and something that I've kind of like maneuvered from. I don't know. I feel like I'm being very vague, but my like consensus of it is just that like, we kind of identify with our trauma and we make that who we are, not in experiences of what we've gone through or what we've been through. Me and my emotional like turmoil has been like, I feel like, not of always, but I've been in very like emotionally dependent relationships to where I've had anxious attachment styles on a lot of the people that I've been with, and I've been very emotionally dependent on them in ways that it's like, I feel like that kind of also stems from a lack of self-love and a lack of not knowing when to leave. And it's like, one thing I don't like about like the emotional aspect of a lot of things is that like, when people see you care, they withdraw, and when people care less, you come closer. That's always been a fear of mine. Like, I don't want to like people based off of how poorly they treat me, so that makes me like them more. Like, that's not a good thing, that's not a healthy thing, that's not a healthy sign. Like, doing everything in a healthy aspect is very hard because it's like not fully understanding what's right from wrong in comparison to what social media has glorified and what we believe to be correct or incorrect. Having an anxious attachment style is so draining and like very underwhelming because it's like, depending on how that person treats you and like acts towards you is how you act, not only with them but like with others. Like, for example, my sophomore year, like, that's when I learned that I had that anxious attachment style. When a person that I probably would have no interest in, like literally would not care about, they are giving me attention, I'm like, okay, cool. I like getting attention, that's so cute. But they would stop, and that would make me start liking them and start wanting them. It's a push and pull thing. It's the chase. And I've realized like people gravitate towards the chase. That's emotional turmoil. Like, literally, that's already a struggle in itself because you're not building no genuine emotional connection. You're building an infatuation with the chase. You're building an interest in being chased or chasing. You know, you want a person to want you. That's literally how people are. They want you to want them. Nobody, I feel like, who really definitely has like an anxious attachment style likes somebody out of genuine reasoning. It's because like they withdrew from you, and when there is an absence of something that was very present in your life, you kind of like miss that. Especially me, like I'm so painfully self-aware, y'all. Like, I really found out in February that I have like a little fear of abandonment. Like, when things leave me, I instantly kind of like shell up, and I get very like emotional and very like scared. Because like, you build comfort with things and you have a fear that they're gonna leave you in the second that you feel super duper comfortable. Like, I don't know, there's so many things that I feel like go into relationships, friendships, like partnership, like everything that kind of carries out from one experience to the next. I don't know if any of that makes sense, guys. Like, I really don't know. But being in spaces where you're emotionally triggered shows how unhealed that you English. Being in spaces where you are emotionally triggered shows how unhealed you are. I try to avoid spaces and people who trigger me, who trigger past versions of myself and past versions of the things that I've gone through and that I've experienced, because I don't want to experience them twice. But sometimes the triggers are important. It's not important to be around people who trigger you constantly and who make you feel like an old and past version of yourself constantly, but it's important to, I feel, be triggered so you know how to handle that emotion a lot differently. Because my way of handling my emotions used to just be lashing out, going off, getting angry, not really giving people an opportunity to speak, not really hearing what another person had to say. It was just me trying to be heard as best and as much as I can without giving the person an opportunity to explain themselves or, feel heard for themselves. And I think like a lot of my emotional traumas have kind of like made my brain spiral in a way, because it's like I'm a person who psychoanalyzes everything. I feel like this is me just kind of like going through my emotional trauma, but I psychoanalyze everything. Like that is one thing that I think has really like fed into my anxious attachment, which even like stepping out of that now and today, like psychoanalyzing everything about everybody is something that I do struggle with today, and I personalize every little detail, and I wish I didn't. Like I wish I didn't make everything about me, and I wish I was able to just understand that people have other things going on. But like, because I've been in spaces where like my psychoanalysis was right, and I tried to just be like, no, like I wasn't like that. Like I tried to give the benefit of the doubt in places, and it just was like, no, boo, you're being cheated on. Like, oh my God, not you trying to be generous and you're getting played. What? Is exactly why I still psychoanalyze everything. And it's so hard because I think like when you do that, you're kind of premeditating the worst, or you're wishing the worst. I don't know. I've been trying to speak life into everything, and I feel like I feel suffocated by so many traumas that I've experienced. Like in friendships, I feel like this has been a big thing for just like my lack of communication, my lack of bringing things up. I feel like that is an emotional like struggle that I go through, is just like the idea of like not wanting to bring things up, because I feel like when you talk about things and you bring things to light and you bring things to a situation, like people get mad because they don't know how to take accountability. I feel like people get upset because they don't know how to just say I was wrong or I messed up. I feel like people don't know how to really grow from things and like take a situation as an experience and a learning experience. They take it as something to personalize and like a vendetta. So now they don't want to be friends, or they don't want to talk to you anymore. Now there's a big rift in the relationship because you brought up something. And that has been a struggle in my friendships, like an emotional trauma that I've gone through in my friendships, that now I'm not bringing things up and I'm letting things slide, and I'm letting boundaries be walked over, and I'm letting myself be walked over, and I'm just going through all of these things because I'm scared to speak up. I think this is a prime example of when you deal with so many emotional struggles and traumas that it really hinders your relationships going forward in life, because now you're like letting a wound that, you got cut so long ago, and you're letting that wound bleed over from November until March. Like, I just think when you don't heal from a lot of emotional struggles and turmoils and traumas, like it only hinders the relationships and the friendships and the partnerships that you try to develop and build later on in your life. It's just very hard, because it's like, how do I heal from this and how do I grow from this? Because I feel like I have, and I thought that I had, and I'm trying my hardest too, but I still feel triggered by things. And it's like, how do I let them go? Even though I forgave, and I took all the steps that I possibly could to just let it go. Excuse me, I had to burp. That was nasty. I took all the steps that I needed to take to let it go. Why does it still affect me today? I don't know. I wish I knew. Like, I really did wish I knew, because I feel like there's so many things that like been years since I've gone through and years since I've experienced, and I swear up and down like I've let it go, but it's like I still feel like the wound reopens sometimes. Like I thought I put a band-aid on it, and it feels like the wound is just reopening on me, and I don't know how to stop it. Like, how does the bleeding stop? And I hope this like example kind of makes sense, but it's very hard when like I want to be healed. Like, I wish I was healed. I wish little things didn't bother me. I wish I didn't overthink every little detail of my life. I wish I wasn't like put in spaces where I always had to like look at myself and be like, damn, like, did I do something wrong, or is something wrong, or like, what's wrong? Are we trying to figure something out? Like, I don't know. Like, I wish there was no hardship, but that's such an impractical thing, an unpractical wish. And like, it's naive to even say that you wish to not go through an experience, because I feel like to live in a life of regret and like wish like, oh, I wish I never went through that, or I wish that never happened, like it would never shape you to be the person that you are today, and it would never shape you to have the empathy that you have today. But it's like I've always wished that the overthinking would stop, and like it wouldn't make me crazy. I'm not crazy, but I feel like overthinking makes you crazy, because now you're kind of imagining a reality that doesn't exist. You're self-sabotaging things that, could have easily been prevented. You're losing your mind to something that doesn't actually that hasn't actually happened yet. And sometimes I don't know, is this your body protecting you, or is it your mind anticipating the worst? I always talk about that, and every single time I'm either talking to my podcast or I'm talking to a vlog, I'm always I'm anticipating the worst in everything. It doesn't stop. That to me feels like some emotional turmoil in my life that I don't know. I've always said in the last podcast episode, self-sabotage kind of follows with wanting good but speaking evil over things. And your brain does that to where when you're overthinking, you're subconsciously focusing on all of the negative. That's what overthinking really is. It's all of these negative thoughts that you just feed into constantly and constantly and constantly, that you let consume your brain, that's all you look at, because your thoughts kind of shape the way your perspective. Not kind of, they definitely do. They shape your perspective. They shape the way you look at things. They shape the way you feel about things. They shape the way that you adhere towards things. So it definitely afflicts the things that are going on in your life when you constantly feed into the negative thoughts that are roaming through your brain. And it's not a sense of protection. Having walls up, that feels like protection, but it's like I don't want to let anybody in. Sometimes that's kind of what it feels like. It's I'm just scared to get hurt, so I don't want to let anybody in. So I use these walls in my life to pretend like it's for protection, but it's really fear. Everything ties into fear. Everything ties into everything. Good gosh. I wish everything was just so black and white, but when you have so much emotional turmoil, it's really hard to break it down and hit a breakthrough to where it's I will no longer struggle with this. But I don't think you will ever get to a point where you no longer struggle with anything. You learn to break it down, and you learn to let it coexist with you. I don't know. I feel like that's a poor choice of words. It's not coexist, because that means it's still there. But that's how trauma is. Everything will still be there. It's still present in your life. You just learn how to handle it and how to deal with it in healthy ways, which is why I said I feel like the triggering is good, but it's how you maintain these feelings and these emotions. I don't know. I've been really thinking about a lot lately. I'm just always so heavily in thought. And I just think having emotional turmoil and having these emotional traumas is something that is very important, that people learn to be patient with other people for having. And it's not just a one person thing. It's an all person thing. Everybody has this. Everybody deals with things differently and handles things differently and faces situations differently. And their traumas can be very overpowering in their own life, to where it hinders so many things that one may not understand or one may not know how to handle. I feel like people who kind of struggle a lot with their own thoughts and their own feelings and just their own I was going to say lack of setting emotional boundaries, but I think in all aspects it's important to touch base with yourself. Very important to journal. It's very important to talk to yourself. It's very important. I don't care, guys. I don't hate on nobody who talks to themselves. I love yapping with myself. But it's very important to touch base and make sure you are emotionally in check and in tune, especially dealing with the concept of being healed and being in relationships and trying to move forward with other people. You're still going to have the trauma. You have to learn how to handle that in healthy ways that doesn't feel like you're bleeding onto another person or bleeding onto the people that are around you. So much easier said than done. Literally so much easier said than done. I feel like I wanted to talk about this so bad because it was something that was really heavy in my mind and in my heart, because I've just found myself to really think about so many past situations. I was at the store yesterday just thinking about something that happened months ago. I was taking a shower the other day thinking about something that happened so long ago, reminiscing over things and experiences that I literally wish I didn't go through, because I feel like it's had so much emotional blockage on me and I don't know how to let it go. But it's you have to just accept the trauma and accept that it's there and accept that the experience has happened, And it's so much, not so much that, oh my God, I'm now just accepting it, but like you really have to accept that it happened. Because like I was talking about it with someone, I was telling them like, hey, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And I've always used to tell stories in a very like lightly funny tone and everything. And after I told the story, like I genuinely like started crying. I got very upset because I was like, dang, like that really happened. And I think ever since that moment, I've started to be more in tune with the fact that like your emotions are really nothing to play with, and like your feelings are should be taken very serious, and those are very important things as a whole. And I feel like I have a lot of distaste for the fact that my feelings were taken so lightly and they were really like played with. And like my emotions, it just bugs me, and it bugs me for myself that like I didn't realize that there was so much care there, that I didn't acknowledge the fact that like I was being played with. I just cared more about how another person felt and how I was making other people feel, and like wanting to make them feel good, that I neglected myself. And that's where a lot of my emotional blockage kind of comes from, because I've always cared a little too much about other people, and I've never really seen that reciprocated. And that's where my thoughts have been. That's literally where my thoughts have been for a long time. And that emotional trauma and blockage has really like afflicted my thought process going into today. And yeah, that's definitely something that I have to work on. That's definitely something that I have to like journal about and pray about and like go through the motions, because I swore up and down like I was healed, and I swear up and down I'm healed. I still believe that I'm healed, but it's just very hard to fully feel healed when you still feel played with. Okay, well, and that's real. Like you'll never just get over everything, unfortunately, especially when you've downplayed the situation for so long and you realize the severity of it. Like it's deep, it's there. But like I don't know. I don't know if there was a real consensus from this podcast episode, guys, but I just really wanted to talk about emotional turmoil and emotional blockage. Like I really did. And yeah, I will see you guys next week.